Let's travel back in time. I want you to imagine you're standing right in the middle of ancient Babylon. You can feel the sun on your face. You look up and see these incredible, massive walls, these terraced gardens, and the giant ziggurat of the Temple of Bel stretching into the sky. And all around you in the streets, it's the scene of incredible contrast. You've got the golden chariots of the super rich pushing past merchants in sandals and beggars with absolutely nothing. Babylon was a city of extremes, dazzling wealth right next to crushing poverty. But it was here that the fundamental laws of money were figured out, not just by kings, but by everyday people. So let's unpack that idea, because it's a big one. The whole point of our source today, The Richest Man in Babylon, is that building wealth isn't some complex, hidden secret. It's not just for the lucky few. Nope, it's a set of simple, timeless laws that anyone can learn and use. And today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to dive into the stories and the wisdom from that ancient city and uncover these laws together. You know, our whole journey really starts with a problem that is just as real today as it was thousands of years ago: the empty wallet, or, as they called it back then, the lean purse. We get introduced to this guy, Bansir. He's a chariot builder, and he is good at his job, a true master craftsman. He works like crazy, from sunrise to sunset, but for all his hard work, his purse is still lean. He's sitting there on the city wall, just looking at the king's incredible palace, and he is just completely defeated. And this, right here, is the question that's at the heart of everything. It's a question that has been asked for centuries. Banzir turns to his buddy Kabi, a musician, and he just lets out all this frustration that, let's be honest, so many of us have felt. They live and work in the richest city in the entire world, and yet they have absolutely nothing to show for it. Why? Why can't they get their fair share? Well, it turns out the answer lies in what they called the 7 timeless cures for a lean purse. These were taught by Arkád, who was, just the richest man in all of Babylon. And he swore that these cures could take any lean purse and make it fat. So let's go through them one by one and see how this ancient wisdom really works. So you might be asking, where does a journey like this even begin? What is that one single, absolutely critical first step that you have to take to go from a lean purse to a fat one? And here it is. This is the secret. It's the profound lesson Arkád learned when he was just a young scribe from a moneylender named Algamish. And it's not a tactic. It's a total shift in your mindset. Before you pay the person who makes your clothes or your shoes or bakes your bread, you have to pay yourself. It's a declaration. It means your work, your effort has value to you first before it has value to anyone else. A part of everything you earned is yours to keep, period. Okay, so how much? How much do you keep? The rule is just so simple, it's almost hard to believe. For every 10 coins that go into your purse, you only let 9 come out. Just picture this: a spice merchant in that chaotic, bustling Babylonian marketplace. For every 10 silver shekels she makes selling her saffron, she takes one, just one, and puts it into a totally separate, smaller pouch. That one coin, it's not for food, it's not for rent, it is not to be touched. That single coin is the very first seed from which a giant tree of wealth is going to grow. But wait a minute. This immediately brings up a huge question, right? How in the world can anyone save even 1/10 when our so-called necessary expenses seem to suck up every single coin we make? It just feels impossible for most people. And that leads us straight to the second cure: control thy expenditures. Arkad's big insight here is that our desires, if we don't manage them, will always expand to eat up our entire income. It's like weeds in a garden. If you leave empty space, they will fill it. The solution? A budget. Imagine a scribe back then physically carving his expenses onto a wet clay tablet. He lists what he truly needs: food, shelter, his offerings for the temple. And then on a different part of the tablet, he lists his wants. That simple act of writing it all down separates the two, and it stops those casual desires from stealing the money that's meant for his bigger goals. Okay, so let's say you're doing it, you're paying yourself first, you're controlling your spending, and you've got this nice little pile of coins that is 100% yours. So, what now? Do you just look at it? No. This brings us to the third cure: make thy gold multiply. Arkád uses this incredible metaphor. Every single coin you save is a golden slave. And you can't just own it. You have to put it to work. That golden slave needs to go out and earn children, more coins. And then its children also have to be put to work, creating this constant, ever-growing river of income that flows right back into your purse. Now, this is powerful stuff, but it's also where the fear starts to creep in, right? Once you've worked so hard to build this little army of golden slaves, the absolute last thing you want is to lose them. So how do you invest safely? How do you protect your original investment, your principal? The fourth cure is all about this: guard thy treasures from loss. And believe me, Arkád learned this one the hard way. He gave his entire first year of savings to a guy named Asmar, a brickmaker. Asmar was traveling to another city to buy rare jewels and promised huge returns. Sounds great, right? But think about it. What does a brickmaker know about jewels? Nothing. He came back with a bag of worthless glass, and Arkád's savings were just gone. The lesson is so simple but so crucial. Don't trust a brickmaker's advice on jewels. If you want to know about sheep, you talk to a shepherd. If you want to know about jewels, you talk to a jeweler. Only take advice from people who are experts in that specific field. All right, cure number 5 is to own thy own home. And this is about so much more than just having a roof over your head. It is a foundation for your wealth. Just picture a Babylonian family that no longer pays rent to a landlord. Instead, those payments are building up their own asset. The man can go into his own yard and eat figs from his own trees. His wife can water the herbs in their own garden. This move drastically cuts their living costs, which frees up even more coins to put to work. But maybe even more important, it builds this deep sense of pride and confidence. A person who owns their own piece of the earth just carries themselves differently, and that confidence spills over into everything else they do. So these first 5 cures build an amazing foundation. But what about the long game? How do you make sure this wealth-building machine keeps running for the rest of your life and secures your future? This is the 6th cure. Ensure a future income. It's all about planning for a time when you might not be able to work anymore. We hear this story about Ansan, the sandal maker. Every single week, for 8 straight years, he took just 2 small silver pieces and gave them to a moneylender to invest. It doesn't sound like much, does it? But the moneylender put those coins to work. And the earnings from those coins also started to earn. It's that magic of compounding, the children of the children earning their own keep. That tiny, regular habit grew into a treasure of over 1,000 silver pieces, more than enough to provide for him and his family for the rest of their lives. And that brings us to the 7th and final cure, and honestly, this might be the most powerful one of them all. Increase thy ability to earn. Because your greatest asset isn't the gold in your purse, it's you. Arkád wasn't born rich. He started as a simple scribe, but he became obsessed with being the best scribe in Babylon. He concentrated, he learned more, he got faster, he got better. By developing his own skills and abilities, he created a much larger income stream for himself, and a larger income meant more coins to pay himself, which meant a larger army of golden slaves to send out into the world. You know, what's just so incredible when you step back is that these rules, born on the dusty streets of Babylon 6,000 years ago, are just as rock-solid and relevant today as they were back then. These aren't complicated financial products. They're just fundamental truths about how people and money work. So let's just quickly recap the 7 cures. 1. Pay yourself first, at least 1/10. 2. Control your spending with a budget. 3. Make your money work for you. 4. Guard your principal by only taking expert advice. 5. Own your home. 6. Plan for your retirement. And 7, the most important, always invest in increasing your own ability to earn. Wealth, as Arkád teaches us, isn't about luck, it's not magic, it's just the natural outcome of applying these simple laws with a determined, persistent purpose. And I love this final thought because it says that following these laws does something more than just build wealth. It makes you ready. It prepares you so that when opportunity finally shows up, you can actually recognize it and grab it. The Babylonians believed the goddess of good luck favors people of action. But here's the catch. She only visits the people who have already put in the work to prepare for her arrival. And so all of this ancient wisdom, all these stories and lessons, it all comes down to a very simple, very modern, and very personal question for you. The laws are simple, the path is clear, the proof is in thousands of years of history. The only thing left to ask is what's on this slide. Your purse is in your hands. So how will you begin to fatten it?